Hello, everyone. We are back 4 weeks later for another episode of the JJF1 podcast, where Jonah and Jordan talk about all things related to F1. Wow. We made it through the break. We did not record last week because was there really a race? We don't even know. But here we are talking about the Dutch Grand Prix, where Max Verstappen could officially say that he won his home Grand Prix from Lewis Hamilton in second and Valtteri Bottas in third. So, Jordan, um, how do you feel about the race? This is the first time that we've been to the Netherlands, and this is the first time that we've been to Zandvoort since 1985 or 1986. So it's been definitely a while, a completely different circuit. But how did you enjoy the first Dutch Grand Prix in a very long time?
Yeah, we haven't been to Zandvoort since 1985. And the most recent winner at the Zandvoort track was Niki Lauda in 1985. Just to put into perspective how long it's been since we've been to the Netherlands and had a Dutch Grand Prix. So this was a crazy weekend for the Dutchman himself, the homeboy Max Verstappen. And how do I feel? I feel like we got ourselves a championship race. We got ourselves a really interesting end of the season coming up. And we've not been able to say that in a very long time because it's been Lewis. And finally, we have a serious threat to the throne. And it was shown this weekend by Max, doing very well in the practice sessions, doing extremely well in qualifying, and doing extremely well during the race.
I will say, I cannot wait for the continuation of this championship. I mean, you must be extremely excited. We're going to talk about this later, but we're going to Monza in 6 days' time from when we're recording. So this is going to be a crazy end to the season. One thing that I'm going to say is, I think that it was really, really hyped since we hadn't been here in I don't know how many years. Was the hype worth it? It was worth it in some places. It was not worth it in others. And one place where it was not worth it was the racing, because I mean, all things considered, we had a relatively processionary race. I think this is like on Monaco levels of nothing really happening in terms of racing. But all in all, I'm glad that we ended up coming here, because there are a lot of people that said that this is a racer's track. Like this circuit is insane. And one thing that I will say is that this is an absolutely amazing circuit. It sucks that it hasn't done anything for good racing. So with that being said, do you have anything to add on that?
Yeah, I just want to follow on to your comment by saying it was hyped up to be the race, one of the races of the season, because we haven't been here such a long time, and it was Max Verstappen's home race. And if you look at the track without cars on it, and you see the turns that are on this track, it's amazing. It's probably one of the only circuits with banking on two separate occasions.
When was the last time we had a banking circuit, like Indianapolis, that long ago?
Maybe. And it made for what I'm going to call my most entertaining moment. I'll dive right into it. It made for an amazing qualifying session. We were very much spoiled in qualifying because the qualifying laps were on another level. So I'll start with the positive. You started with the racing, kind of bit of negative, and I agree with you 100%. I'll start with the positive by saying, look at the glass half full. Qualifying was fantastic, and I wish we had qualifying like that almost every weekend.
I will say, though, qualifying was an extremely interesting session. One thing that I found the most entertaining, and this has nothing to do with the racing, and this has nothing to do with what was on track, and that is the Dutch fans. Because, oh my God, I have not seen crazier fans than the fans at Zandvoort cheering on their boy Max. I mean, there were drivers that were complaining that they couldn't see anything through all the orange flares that were going on when Max won. I think that it really shows how long the fans in the Netherlands have been waiting for this track to come back onto the calendar. And I think that it's equally the fact that they have a genuine Dutch driver that can compete not only for wins, but now for championships. I mean, he's now 3 points ahead of Lewis Hamilton in the championship. And for me, seeing the fans' reaction to that is absolute craziness. I mean, that I'm happy that we came here for the track and for the fans, not so much for the racing. But the most entertaining moment for me was seeing these crazy fans.
Yeah, these fans are on another level. When Max won, I saw this meme on the internet that basically showed the smoke, not the smoke, but the fog in Spa, and then it showed the same picture of the fog in Spa but orange
About
to show
orange.
the Zandvoort. And exactly what happened, because you'd see the helicopter fly over the circuit and it would literally be just full of orange fog, orange smoke everywhere. And you could tell how much these fans love Max. And you know what? Deservedly so, because Max really performed so well that weekend, especially in comparison to Sergio Perez. Max, right off of the line, he won the race. Before turn one, he won the race. And he won those fans' hearts over and over again after each turn, after each overtake, after his pit stop. You know, Max won the weekend. And when can you say that you won your first home Grand Prix? There's only one time you could say that, and Max really deserves it. And he deserves to be the head of the championship right now, honestly. I even think at the end of the first half of the season, he deserves to be in the front of the championship.
Well, he should have been in first in the championship if he hadn't brushed wheels with Lewis Hamilton in Silverstone. I guess that's the nicest way I'm going to say it. Another really heartwarming moment was seeing Max draped in the Dutch flag as soon as he came out of the car and on the podium, and they sung the Dutch national anthem for his victory. Like, real heartwarming moments for me. Like, if Lance Stroll won in Canada, and like imagine if we were there in Montreal, if Lance Stroll ever wins in Montreal, and like everyone's gonna be screaming, "Oh, Canada!" That's the exact vibe that I'm feeling in Zandvoort right now. So
Yeah,
I'm happy you touched on Sergio Perez though, because that is my most dramatic moment of the weekend of the race.
smart people think alike, Jonas. Smart people think alike.
Yeah, so let's talk about Sergio Perez, because he won driver of the day this weekend, and I think that it was really well deserved, because I mean it was really unfortunate timing with his qualifying, because he should have definitely gotten another run in Q1, but he missed the checkered flag by like a second or 2 seconds or something like that, right before being able to complete another flying lap, and that's why he ended up in P16. And I mean, props to the Red Bull strategy team and for Checo to be able to manage his tires like he does every single weekend in a complete masterclass, and being able to pull from P16 to what did he finish? He finished P8 or something like that.
P8, it was exactly
so
P8.
so I mean, it may not have been 25 points for like compared to what Max got, but definitely the whatever it is, 3, 4, 5 points that he gets for P8 are probably the hardest fought of his career, other than his win in Secure 2020. So for me, that in like the ups and downs of Sergio Perez this weekend is my most dramatic moment.
Yeah, Sergio Perez, I think it goes to show how toxic the Red Bull environment is, if anything, because Max Verstappen, we know, is in a league of his own, but he clearly shows that the car deserves to be consistently in the points, in the top 10, and in qualifying must be in the top 5, at least. Sergio Perez has taken that car to the top 5 not many times in qualifying this year. And not taking throughout the years, this weekend, including this weekend. And to me, it just speaks to how toxic the Red Bull environment is in terms of the pressure they put on their drivers. And I know Sergio Perez extended, and we're going to get that in another episode. But it makes me ask the question, is that really where he's going to win his world championship? I don't know.
I mean, I think the only way that he'd be able to win a world championship is if he stays at Red Bull and Max retires and they build a car around him, unless like Pierre Gasly or Alex Albon comes in again and they end up building the car around them, because why not? I mean,
Jonah, don't give the listeners a sneak peek at our next episodes, okay?
Hey, look, I didn't say anything. I'm just hinting at rumors here, okay? So look, I think that Sergio Perez definitely hasn't had the most fantastic season. I will say that our standards are very high for what is expected of Sergio Perez because of the fact that he's already won in Azerbaijan and had a podium in France, and this is what we're calling a not so great season for him in a Red Bull. So, I mean, it's really intriguing to see how Sergio Perez is going to move forward. I mean, obviously he has an extension until next year, which was announced recently. And I really hope that he picks up at the end for the rest of the season. I mean, obviously, going from P16 to P8 is fantastic, but he shouldn't be in P16 to begin with. So that's definitely an interesting thing to see.
Yeah. Look, on my end, my dramatic moment comes from qualifying because, as we know, there wasn't much drama within the race. And I knew you were going to touch on Sergio Perez. I want to talk about the fact that Nicholas Latifi had the opportunity to beat Mr. Saturday when George Russell spun. And
what happened?
and I don't know if he made the same mistake because they spun at the exact same turn, but I was on the edge of my seat waiting for Nicholas Latifi to beat George Russell's time.
I was ready for Nicholas Latifi to be in Q3.
That would have been something else, but George Russell set a time, and it was a beatable time given track evolution. And so Nicholas Latifi was going to beat it. Norris was probably going to beat it. Stroll might have beaten it as well, but
none of them did.
None of them did because he caused the red flag. And to me, waiting for him, for especially Nicholas Latifi to beat Mr. Saturday, to me, waiting for that moment was my most dramatic moment.
Yeah, because I will say that was hectic. That was very hectic.
Seeing him crash was pretty dramatic as well because I was like, wow, you had a one shot and, you blew it.
I mean, look, George, like the damage on George's car really wasn't that bad, right?
I don't know what actually happened to George's car. They didn't give details the day of the race.
Because like he said like George Russell said, okay, he's getting back in the car. Like they were able to fix it and go back again. I don't know. Because apparently the back wheel took most of the impact or whatever. Speaking of which, side note, Jenson Button did some fantastic commentary this week.
Yes, he did.
So, yeah, I mean, I heard that he might have been able to go back out and do another lap, even though he caused the red flag, which would have been crazy. I mean, he managed to get the car back into the pits, which is a miracle of itself. And then Nicholas Latifi said, copy that. And then he actually copied that. So, yeah, there was a really good opportunity there for Latifi to show what he could do without having to be behind George Russell and in that giant shadow that is him in a Williams car. But Williams pirouettes, I guess it's a double trouble. I don't know. I'm rusty. I'm getting back into the podcast. Don't worry.
Yeah. Jonah, now that we've covered the first three topics, let's talk about our most surprising moment.
All right. Well,
Take it away.
most surprising moment for me was definitely Mercedes' decision to pit Valtteri Bottas and like that whole thing with the fastest lap and being able to, like, Valtteri getting a message from James saying abort the fastest lap because we want Lewis to get the point, still managed to put up the fastest lap, but also he pit because I don't know, there was no logic behind that pit with like three laps or 4 laps left in the race when you aren't trying to go for the fastest lap. Like, what's the point? I didn't see the idea behind it. I think Mercedes strategy team
Didn't know what they were doing.
They had no idea what they were doing. I mean, pitting Valtteri was definitely not the call. If you're just adding more time to when he's going to end in third, because we all know he was going to end up in third. He was like Max, Lewis, Valtteri, 47 seconds, and then Gasly. So
Right.
I don't know. I
Gasly
feel like
technically
we're
was
showing
lapped.
yeah, Gasly was lapped. So I think that we're seeing the flaws in the Mercedes strategy department where they're being put on, well, they're having the pressure put on them, and when they need to respond, it seems like they're having more difficulty than this year than they have in other years, because they've actually been forced to make decisions that could definitely affect the outcome of the race other than a 1-2.
Right. And other than Nico Rosberg's year where they were really competing against each other, they haven't had to make decisions of a competitive nature in a really long time. When they were making decisions in I believe it was 2016, when Nico Rosberg won the championship, they were making decisions for one teammate versus the other. Now they're dealing with a whole different animal where they don't know what the other decision is going to be in the Red Bull garage. So it's really a new thing for Mercedes that we haven't really considered before.
It also shows that Valtteri's the number 2 driver. That's gonna be fun. For how many, whatever races are left, like 10 or 9. Oh man,
right.
Love the dynamic.
I do think that they confirmed it this morning with Valtteri's move that he is the number 2 driver, and soon he might be no driver, but right now he is the number 2 driver. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I don't know why he pit and then they aborted it. To me, it was really weird when he followed team orders to begin with, when it came to Lewis going in front of him after he got overtaken by Max Verstappen. Like, having Valtteri list the team orders just like in general is a surprising moment to me. But having Mercedes strategy team do what they did is also very surprising. My most surprising moment doesn't come from Mercedes. It actually comes from a team that we haven't spoken about in a very long time, and that's McLaren. If you look at the standings of the race, Lando Norris ended in P10. And that is not something that Lando Norris does on a normal day.
He messed up so much in qualifying. He ended up P12 or something like that, right?
It was not his weekend. We see Lando Norris consistently finishing in the top 7, top 6. And that's Lando Norris's spot. He really has made a name for himself this season, finishing high and being on the podium too. And it was very surprising seeing him not even competing for those top spots. I was really, really surprised that in qualifying he didn't make it far, because he's normally, he's kind of like a derivative of Mr. Saturday, where he's really good at performing in qualifying, and he didn't perform well at all this weekend. Even in Spa, he performed pretty well, and in qualifying, and here he didn't, and it was pretty surprising. I don't know what was going on with McLaren this weekend.
I don't know what was going on with them either. I mean, I think Daniel Ricciardo did. How did he do? I don't even remember. Like,
he was in P11.
Yeah, so Daniel Ricciardo was in his usual spot, because apparently P11 is just Daniel Ricciardo's spot this year. And Lando Norris was really underwhelming this week. I don't know what happened. I I mean, hopefully it's just a track where it's a new track and he's not really used to it, and maybe he could pick it up, secure another podium in the in the next few races. I mean, McLaren ended up on the podium in Monza last year, in P2 with Carlos Sainz. So hopefully McLaren gets to repeat that this year. But yeah, I'm pretty shocked as well. I think that this is probably an outlier though, compared to certain drivers where you could say, I think this is becoming a little bit more consistent, like Sebastian Vettel's relatively extremely bad weekend, but you know,
Yeah,
Formula One for you. It's extremely
P13 is not where Vettel wants to be.
Yeah, P15 is definitely not where Vettel wants to be. But
P13, 13.
Oh, 13. Okay.
Yeah, don't confuse Vettel with Robert Kubica.
Yeah, Robert Kubica came back this weekend,
Yeah.
because
That's a pleasant surprise, actually.
Honestly, good for him. I mean, he's basically driving a Formula One car with one arm. So the fact that he managed to get P15 is a miracle. So, and also,
Yeah,
like Jojo collapsed because he started P7 and dropped, and it was a boring race, but also kind of interesting at the same time because we had some pretty good storylines.
yeah, exactly. And look, the track might not be the most suited for racing, but we did get to see a different perspective on the season. And for that reason, I like this weekend.
Yeah, I think that it was a really good weekend for that.
But
we're gonna
get. It's also the best. It's the best prequel to Monza.
Well, we're missing the best overtake first before we talk about Monza.
Oh, we didn't take the best overtake.
No, we did not.
We got it. The summer break is hitting.
The summer break is hitting. We haven't recorded in 4 weeks. Now that we're on the record and that we're recording, I can officially say, Jordan, congratulations. You've started law school. So
thank you.
All of the fans, and when you see this message, congratulate Jordan for starting law school.
Thank you.
Yeah, the best overtake. I mean, there weren't that many overtakes because apparently that's Zandvoort for you. But what was your best overtake? I think I have the same thing, but
I'll say 2 things. First of all, let's cut Zandvoort some slack because we had Monaco this year. And Monaco, the one overtake we had to see Lance Stroll, and I love Lance Stroll, but we barely had any overtakes in Monaco, I'll have to say. I kind of find this circuit had a similar vibe to Mugello, in that turn 1 was a very big hotspot. It was a very big round the outside hotspot. I love seeing round the outside overtakes. I was really sad Alex Albon wasn't there this weekend, but seeing round the outside overtakes is one of my favorite things. And a driver we don't give enough credit to. And I was talking to Jonah on the phone earlier today. I was telling him this. We don't give enough credit to Mr. Pierre Gasly. He does not deserve to be in an AlphaTauri spot. He deserves to be way up the grid. He is out driving the AlphaTauri car by miles. It's crazy how he needs to be in a competitive car because he does not deserve to be where he is. And he shows he wants to be in a competitive car so much he's in the top 5, just like on a random Sunday. Like
he finished P4. What's going on?
He finished P4, and the McLarens finished P10 and P11. And a Red Bull, who's supposed to be his, supposed to be the senior team, finished P8. So, to me, Pierre Gasly is just so good, and his overtake on Fernando Alonso was so beautiful. I love seeing him overtake, his French counterpart team. So beautiful to see Pierre Gasly drive, and I just want to pay tribute to him in mentioning this overtake on Fernando Alonso in turn 1 around the outside. So beautiful to see.
I actually don't remember that overtake.
Yeah,
so I definitely need to go back and watch the highlights because I definitely don't remember that overtake.
Yeah.
How do you? Okay, well, you know what? I want to talk about someone that you mentioned getting passed. Well, I'm going to mention passing Fernando Alonso,
Oh,
um, who, you know what? My misconception about Fernando Alonso has officially, it has officially become a misconception because Fernando Alonso has proven me very wrong this year. Um, I mean, I think
we
I
didn't like Fernando Alonso at the
no,
beginning of the
I
year. When
didn't.
we did our
I
driver rankings, we were not fans.
I didn't think that Fernando Alonso was going to do well this year at all. But he finished P6 or P7, and the last lap passing Carlos Sainz for me was the overtake that did it. That was the best. That was the best overtake for me because of the timing and because of the fact that it was extremely well done. Like it was so difficult to pass
Yeah.
this weekend. I mean,
Well, unless
Lance
you were not
Stroll was
Max.
like
If you were not Dutch, then yeah.
yeah, but like Lance Stroll was zero point 0.4 seconds behind George Russell and couldn't pass. So like
Yeah, and it's kind of unfortunate the season that Lance is having because I wish we spoke about it more on this podcast. We don't speak about his actual racing enough.
yeah, I mean, I want to see him on the podium. So
Yeah.
You know what? Next week is Monza, so what's
Yeah,
gonna
he loves
happen?
Monza.
What's gonna happen,
He
Jordan?
loves Monza. What's gonna happen in Monza? I have a very bold prediction.
Go
And
for
this
it.
might never happen, but I'm only predicting it because it's Monza. I am saying Ferrari, who has been, and Jonah's words, fantastically inconsistent.
Yes.
I will say Ferrari has either a second or front row start in Monza. And
You're
I want to
saying
say
it's going to be
both
another Charles
Ferraris.
Leclerc pole?
I'm saying they'll either be on one of them is either on the front row or the second row, and the other one's on the other row, or they're both in one of the rows. Like they're both of them are going to be in the front row, in the first two rows.
Okay. Well,
and I'm saying this for the Italian Grand Prix. I'd love to see it.
I'm going to come up with another bold prediction for you. I think that on September 12th, the Italian Grand Prix. By the way, at the time of recording this episode, the Italian Grand Prix 2020 was 1 year ago. So
yes, and Pierre Gasly's fantastic win again.
Yes. So on that note, I'm going to say that another driver will win their first race in their career in
we have
10
drivers
days' time.
Didn't win a race. 9 drivers didn't win a race yet.
So that means out of a pot. Well, okay, let's go into realistic outcomes here. Okay, who has the potential to win a race? Sainz, Stroll, Norris, Sainz, Stroll, Sainz, Stroll, Norris, or I mean Ricardo. I don't think he's gonna win, but it's gonna be.
He's won a race before.
Yeah, but he's won a race before.
George Russell.
Yeah, apparently we're putting George Russell into race in contention now because he got a podium last week. What happened? That's gonna be something for another time. But I think that someone is going to win their first Grand Prix next weekend.
I think realistically it comes down to Lando Norris and Carlos Sainz Jr.
Yeah.
I will say that it's gonna be Carlos Sainz Jr.
Really? I mean,
yeah.
It could be Norris.
If it's one of them.
I mean,
if it's one.
I think that there's going to be a first-time Grand Prix winner next week.
You know what's funny is that George Russell in the Williams has a P2 finish. Lando Norris has no P2 finish yet.
Oh, that's true. Norris has only finished P3.
Yeah, he's finished P3 Monaco, P3 Austria. He finished P3 earlier in the year too.
Yeah, he did.
In Imola, I believe.
Yeah, he did in Imola. Oh
So
man.
just food for
Let's
thought.
let's see what happens. Okay. I mean, we have a
Yes.
very first off, we have the Temple of Speed. So we're gonna see which engine is really powered. Second, we have a sprint race. So we're going to see
Yeah.
how that's gonna turn out. And third, we have the unpredictability that is Monza. So let's see
I
what
can't wait for
happens.
Friday.
I can't wait
I
for
can't wait.
Friday. I can't wait for Sunday. And if you want to join along for the ride for this week, for next week, and for the rest of the season, feel free to like our Facebook page and follow us on Instagram at the JJF1 podcast. And we will see you for the next episode. See ya.
Thank you.